So hello everyone, thanks for being here today. So as we all know, Toyota kind of, really teased the Land Cruiser community recently and set it ablaze with excitement. And since, the past, few days, there's been a lot of speculation on what is and isn't, going to be encompassed in this new parts reproduction program. So we wanted to try to get some hard truths on what's really going to be coming our way potentially. So we're, joined today by our good friend and expert in all things Land Cruiser, owner of Tabasco Land Cruisers. So thanks for being here, owner.
Hi guys, how you doing, Chase? Nice to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you again. Thanks for talking with us.
Sure, bud. Anytime, man.
So, I don't know what you can and can't divulge with your involvement in the program, but could you walk us through maybe the genesis of this parts reproduction program and, what we can expect and can expect to be available parts-wise, at least so far?
Yeah, so my understanding yeah, I mean, obviously this is still a kind of at least on the public side of things, is still a program that's in development from Toyota. And I think this is going to develop into something that might be interesting moving forward. I mean, they have developed this heritage parts program. It's been going on for a couple of years. First off, with mainly with the super vehicles, as well as the 2000 GT, which are obviously cult vehicles in the Toyota catalog. And they approached, my understanding is they did approach owners of 2000 GTs, shops that worked on 2000 GTs, and then obviously the entire super community was contacted. Not the entire super community, but people who are notable in the super community were contacted, and basically Toyota said, hey, listen, we're interested in maybe making some parts for you guys that will allow you to do, let's say, restorations of vehicles, or allow you to be in a position to keep these vehicles running. So my understanding is that chief engineers were involved, former chief engineers. My understanding is that procurement people were involved. So they've developed a number of, parts already for the Supra as well as the 2000 GT. And these are parts that, in my opinion, are interesting parts. Things like drive shafts, ring and pinions, small gear sets, brake boosters, things of that nature. So, it started off very small, and the parts that are currently available are very minimal, in fact. And in fact, the parts that are available, my understanding, aren't really even available yet. They're still in manufacture, and obviously the timeline for something like this, probably, knowing Toyota, it's very conservative. It takes years, basically. So that's what occurred on that side. Now, for example, with the 2000 GT, if you want to buy some of these parts, you have to prove that you are an owner of a 2000 GT. You cannot you can't just go to your dealership and say, hey, I want that ring and pinion that Toyota has recreated for the 2000 GT and get that. You can't. You have to prove ownership of a 2000 GT. And my understanding is that it's going to be the same for the Supra parts as well, too. You need to prove ownership of the Supra that you want to buy parts for.
Are they trying to clamp down on like part hoarders or for resale?
I wouldn't be surprised. That's one of the
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the logic behind it. I don't know why they've made it that way. So I would anticipate any Land Cruiser iteration of this program would probably have some of the same types of boundaries built into being able to procure one of these parts, or whatever the parts might be. So the inception of this, my understanding, is pretty high up at Toyota, and it's in Toyota Japan. It has nothing to do with Toyota United States currently. So it's through Toyota's racing division in Japan, which is Toyota Gazoo Racing, which is directly responsible for a lot of the marketing that you see behind Toyota's involvement in the Dakar, Toyota's involvement in the WRC and other, Le Mans and other types of racing endeavors, motorsports endeavors that they engage in. So I'm unsure at this point. There's no Toyota Gazoo Racing in the United States. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Toyota Gazoo Racing in the United States. So that so that to me is very interesting, because all right, if we are going to be, if we're going to be selling parts, what type of an outlet will those parts come from? Do you go to your local dealer, and the local dealer will have like a portal maybe that they will be able to then access these parts and be able to order them directly from Japan, because they are not going to be at all anywhere in a normal service part procurement pipeline or anywhere through the service procurement sort of process that we would normally have, when you go to your Toyota dealership and you pick up parts, basically.
Okay.
My assumption is they're going to be VIN specific. That would be one way to delimit the ability for people to get parts. So frame number, VIN number. My assumption is there's probably going to be some proof of ownership, registration, and whatnot. I mean, again, I'm not necessarily sure how that would occur. So that part of it is still undecided. That part of it, I really don't know anything about, in fact. I mean, There's been some discussion about how that might work. I mean, it might be an offline ordering process like you currently do with non-US parts, where you bring in your HS7, where you bring in your documentation of ownership to be able to get, let's say, an air filter housing for an HZJ71 released or something like that to you to be able to buy the part, or a 79 series. So I'm not necessarily sure how that's going to work. But I will tell you my involvement in it, and I was contacted by Curtis Cruiser Outfitters late last year, so it's been about a year, and we discussed this program, and I know that he was in contact with Cleario, who was engineer of the 200 series land setup, chief engineer of that program, excuse me, and he said, "Hey, man, let's come up with a list of parts that people would probably like." So myself, Kurt, Cruiser Dan, we came up with a list, and I created a document that I submitted to Toyota through Kurt and through some other people that were involved in the project. And, excuse me, it's not beer, it's Boylan's Birch beer. So,
Nice.
so I created a document here that I submitted about a year ago to Toyota. And I'm going to just kind of go through a little bit of the document, because I think it will be very evident to people how Toyota is looking at this document.
Awesome.
Looking at these parts. So I picked about 6 part numbers that I submitted to Toyota. This was, again, about a year ago. And my justification was following. The first one is always applicability. The part numbers represented below are applicable both forward and backward across a broad range of 40 series Land Cruiser vehicles and across many different market specifications. So applicability, you can go backward to the earliest 40s or maybe even to 25 series, and it can move forward to the latest 40 series vehicles. And that would be globally, not just the United States. Again, we should really consider this kind of a program as a global program, not a United States program. Secondarily, the system usage. How applicable is it to the important systems to be able to drive an FJ40? The part numbers represent the following characteristics. 1, needed for either operation of the vehicle safely, for powering the vehicle, i.e. engine related, stopping the vehicle, turning the vehicle or an overall better user experience while driving. So those were my two criteria that I concentrated on: applicability and overall system usage. So then let's go to the first part number that I thought was, let's get into the nitty gritty. So the first part number that I chose was 13107-61020, which is the 1.5 millimeter overboard piston assembly for 1975 through 1980 2F engines. So that would be your dome top pistons, basically, that long been discontinued from Toyota. So there are a lot of 2F engines from that time period, basically 1 of 75 through 7 of 1980, and those engines are basically, for the most part, unrebuildable using OEM components. You have to go aftermarket. So I thought that that would be a very useful part for Toyota to be reproducing, i.e. the piston that, the piston that we need. And I chose the max overbore to basically knock the engine out as big as possible to get the most life out of the vehicle, out of the engine, basically. So the logic: dome top pistons, which have long been discontinued from Toyota. These are necessary to operate a vehicle and rebuild the engine utilizing Toyota parts for true restoration. 1.5 millimeter overbore would be a preferred size for anyone rebuilding an early 2F using an OEM cylinder block. The manufacturer, and this is an important part, the manufacturer is a Toyota Group company, ART, which is owned by JTEKT, is part of the Toyota Group, and internal procurement systems would already be in place to order and then distribute and sell. That's the other thing you have to think about, is how easy is this going to be for Toyota to, one, fine-tooling the machines necessary to build these parts, any diagrammatics, engineering diagrams that you need for these parts. Someone's going to have to go through a very deep, someone's going to have to go through a very deep and dusty binder to find these parts. So any of the engineering information for these parts to be able to then say, hey, Art, we'd like for you to rebuild these pistons.
Okay.
So that's, for example, one part. The other thing that Toyota was pretty adamant about was that the parts had to be driving, stopping, turning. Okay. No body.
Yeah.
No glass. No trim. No electrical.
Oh, okay. That's a lot. Interesting.
Driving, stopping, and turning.
Okay.
Because the assumption, I believe, is everything else can be, everything else can basically be jerry-rigged in some fashion or form. You can have a piece of glass made. You can, there are numerous aftermarket body panel companies, not good ones, or let's say not as not as robust as, say, in terms of fit and fashion and quality as, say, Toyota body manufacturers or things of that nature. So that's one part. Second part that I thought would be a very useful part was 13.511.60060, which its corollaries would be 13.511.61010, 13.511.641. This is the 2F camshaft, basically from 2 of 75 through the end of production of 2F engines in 1987. The camshaft has been discontinued for a number of years now. Actually, I pretty much got one of the last ones maybe 6 or 7 years ago. The aftermarket options are of significantly poorer quality and durability. Have the OEM iterations available again would allow a very broad range of engine applicability, from early 2F engines all the way through end of 40 series production and through the end of 60 series production. A 12-year span of applicable engines would make a camshaft a great option for anyone rebuilding a 2F.
Nice.
Trying to machine friggin' Nolan.
I know.
Sorry. Trolling me on here. you know, I figured the camshaft would be a good part. So the next part, and I think this one will see agreement across a number of people, is the big old fat classic OEM 15600 oil filter, the big fatty oil filter assembly. Hold on, let's see. Let's go over here. The big boys up here, your 41010s, basically.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I thought that would be a very good part to get back into, production. It was recently discontinued. The only available iterations of that size filter are time manufactured 90915 TD004. And then obviously the Super Session in the United States is 90915 YZZ-D3, which is a real small filter, about this size, and
right.
Made in Thailand, about $5 at a dealership. So my justification for a part like this to be remanufactured is its applicability going back way long time ago, going back into 73, 74 time period, and its ability to be basically applicable to F and a half, 2F, 3F, 3FE, 1FZ, FE, B, 2B, 3B, 13B, 11B, 13BT, 14B, 15BT, 2L, 3L, 5L. So you have the ability to, it's applicable to so many different engines across a very long, broad range year span and engine span. I thought that would be part to try to basically try to get back into production.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's a consumable, i.e., it's going to be something that Land Cruiser owners will need for a very long time. Let's see, another good part, 04111 680, which is the engine gasket overhaul kit. Applicable basically from the earliest F engine up through one of 75. So it includes F and a half engines, going back to the 25 series. So this would be the engine gasket kit that would be for 25s and up through before the introduction of 2Fs. There's still a lot of those engines. There's still a lot of those engines around, and there's still a lot of those engines being restored. So in my opinion, that would be a very useful kit to have, to be able to have available for people doing a Concours restoration, or people just trying to get their engine running back. And the kits out there are, just janky Chinese kits, which in my opinion do not adhere to the QDR requirements of any of the Land Cruiser vehicles, engines, anything of that nature. Those are my parts. I know Kurt had a different set of parts. I know that, and I know that Cruiser Dan was conferred with on this. I know that he had his own set of parts that he thought would be valuable. I know some other people globally who were also involved with this project initially, over a year ago now.
Okay. Wow.
Now that this has been made public, in my opinion, it was great marketing by Toyota as usual. The coincided with the 70th anniversary of the Land Cruiser, the release of the 300 series Land Cruiser. So what are we going to see? I don't know. Now they're accepting information from any Joe Schmo out there who's like, oh man, I really need this bolt that in 47 years. I need this bolt to finish my restoration. Yeah. Those types of parts all the way up through, make me a new Land Cruiser, or, bring the
engine.
Yeah, bring the 79 series in, give me a brand new Crate 12 HT, give me a 13 BT, give me a long block 1FC, give me a long block 2F, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see any of that stuff, to be honest with you. I don't think that Toyota is going to create a 1900 61010 or 610 long block assembly for a 1974 FJ40. It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
There are parts and components necessary. Now, will they maybe try to provide a lot of the components interior to be able to try to get someone to be able to rebuild something like that? I think there's some legitimacy there. I don't think that we're going to see a huge overflow of parts coming out. I think we're going to maybe see one part, a thermostat housing, two parts, two parts, a piston assembly, and it's going to start trickling out. Again, my main worry, and this has not been addressed by Toyota, nor was it addressed in our initial involvement with the program, is distribution, sales and distribution. How is this going to be done at the ground level when you or I say, wow, I'm working on an FJ40 and the customer wants a 2F rebuild? Where are we going to get these parts? Am I calling a dealer in Japan and trying to converse with them, or am I calling David Stedman and he is then going to a dealership in Japan and then getting those parts? How is this going to happen? And I'm sure we're going to find out distribution. But if you go to the Toyota Gazoo website, the Toyota Gazoo racing website, you can actually see in the drop-down menu on the right-hand side, there is actually a regionalization of the Toyota Gazoo racing website, and you can pick your country that you're in and see what's available. Okay. Argentina, there's a number of different countries, European countries, there's obviously the Japanese domestic market. Where are we going to get those parts in the United States? So with no Toyota Gazoo racing, and what is the racing division really doing? Are they creating parts?
That's what threw me for a loop too. Yeah, they were that they were the outlet for this. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really unsure about how. The outlet for something like this is going to work, and if we do eventually see it in the United States, are they going to be designated dealerships that you have to contact? Like, is it going to be the Toyota? There is currently a parts.toyota.com website for the United States market, and you can go there, you can put a part number in, you can see the pricing, and then when you go click to buy this, it sends you to the website for your local dealer, usually geographically. So is it going to do that, or is there going to be a dedicated website developed in the United States by Toyota USA? Is it going to be a TRD based type of thing? But TRD itself doesn't sell parts. They're just the generic racing development division. Their parts are actually sold by a dealership, right? You have to go to a dealership to be able to get a TRD, brake pads or a TRD, something like that. So I'm not sure. That's the one issue right now that I'm more concerned about. I'm not really that. The parts side of things are just going to flow out based on whatever decisions I think that Toyota will make, and I think those decisions will be made in Nagoya. It's not going to be made here in the United States or whatnot. Those decisions will be made in Toyota City. They're going to be made probably by a combination of the chief engineer, which I believe Sadayoshi Koyari-san is involved in this project since he now moved on from the 300 series. He has moved on from being over the entire Land Cruiser program chief engineer. He has moved on now to be only the 70 series and the Prado line chief engineer. And Takami-san has now taken over for 300 series chief engineer. So there's more than likely going to be chief engineers involved. And then obviously it's going to delve down from there. Then it's going to go through procurement. Then it's going to go through supplier relation people. And then, obviously at that point, then it's going to go fizzle back up, come back up and be involved with, some dealership outlets. Probably in Japan, there's going to be dealership outlets where you can go get this stuff.
Okay.
The Heritage website does indicate timeframes for a lot of the AE parts that are coming out, or the 2000 GT parts that are coming out. But I haven't seen anyone who has said, hey, I have yet to see anyone who has said, yeah, hey, I was able to go, I was, haven't been able to see anything of someone saying, yeah, I was able to get a Heritage ring and pinion for my Supra or a drive shaft.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen any sales of these parts. I haven't seen part numbering system, how they're going to actually number the parts. Are they going to rely on the original part number? Are they going to rely on a new part number nomenclature to describe these parts? So I'm interested in those types of things. I'm interested in seeing how the quality of the part is going to be. Is it going to be of same quality? Is it going to be better? Where are the parts going to be made? Are these parts going to be made in Japan? Are they going to be offshored? These are all at the manufacturing level, I think, important questions that they're probably working through right now, and why we're seeing, early 2022 sort of date as an introduction. And I wouldn't be surprised if that gets moved back even more as well. So my recommendation to everyone is to be very, very specific about the part numbers that you are submitting to Toyota. Do some research. Is the part available in aftermarket form? If it is, it's most likely not going to be offered. Is the part available are the Chinese making it? If it is, most likely it's not going to be made available.
Wow.
Is City Racer, reproducing it? If Roger Peng's reproducing it, I doubt that Toyota's going to do it, because Roger does a great job, and his parts are super. They're really, really spectacular reproduction parts as they go. There's a lot of thought and process that goes behind being able to reproduce, a weather strip that hasn't been available for 40 years from Toyota. So those are things to think about. Someone posted up, I think, 69 to 71 gas tanks. Sure, that's probably something that I would throw in there. But I would also think about, is a 73 to 76 or a 77 to 79 gas tank, can you retrofit it into a 69 to 71? If you can, without much jiggying to get it in there, Toyota's not going to make that part. Or let's go forward with the gas tank example. When the gas tank, the gas tank for 79 or 80 and later, when they went to the back, that gas tank isn't available. What are you going to do? So I'm hesitant to think that there's going to be things like gas tanks.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to think be things like that.
Yeah. I think Cruiser Matt was asking, I think he was concerned that they would label pre-existing parts as now Heritage and jack up the price, but it sounds like they have no interest in doing that with parts that are already available.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to do something like that and jack up. I don't think they're going to do something like that. 40 series parts are expensive as enough as it is.
Yeah.
They're I don't think they're going to get jacked up. Now, do I think that these parts that are going to be a part of the Heritage program, are they going to be expensive? They're going to be super expensive, I bet you. They're not going to be reasonably priced parts. They're going to be as if you were buying NOS parts. I think it's going to be in that. I think that's going to happen with a lot of this stuff. So, for example, when I'm, getting, when you're, getting a part from, our friend in Yemen that we've talked about, Bin Mahmoud stores, with that incredible collection of NOS gold that he has that he's sitting on, I would not be surprised if things are priced accordingly in that regard, like that. So, yeah, it's going to be pay to play. All of these vehicles, a Supra, a 2000 GT, these are $100,000 vehicles now, 60, 70, $80 vehicles. $1 million, Toyota GT went for $1 million, $1.5 million or something like that. they're going to be pricey, man. I think.
Yeah, not going to be a deal.
No, think about it. Think
Yeah.
about what needs to occur for a part to come back into production, to be revived. You have to find tooling. Is that tooling available? If that tooling isn't available, you're going to have to go back to the tooling manufacturer and figure out if they can make it. Do they even have the drawings for the tooling? Are there even machines to make these parts on anymore? Is the jig boring machine still there? Is the crankshaft machine still there? Is the press machine still there? Now, they might be able to utilize newer machines and things of that nature. My worry is about that. My worry is about the actual manufacturing of whatever they end up choosing. So, let's say they build something that Aishin, was a subcontractor to, and they built, that they manufactured. Is Aishin going to be able to find that? Is it going to be worth their while for Aishin to manufacture it for maybe 5,000 people globally to buy a part?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, is that a market? No, that's not a market. That's a rounding error. Parts have to be, if parts have to be, Toyota has to be able to make money on them. Toyota's a business. They're only doing this to make money. They're not doing this to make us happy. They're doing this to make money. They see this as an ancillary revenue stream if they are able to find tooling and parts to be able to manufacture these things.
Yeah.
And I think someone named Ross in Motorsports just said it's Toyota quality. Prices are irrelevant for the current market values, and I agree. I agree with that. I'm willing to pay $500 for a doodad this big as long as it's the real thing. I mean, I that already. I just got a box of tools from my friend in Yemen, and I paid a stupid amount of money for those tools, but you can't get them anymore, and they're incredible and they're beautiful. I was blown away that they actually showed up. Another client got a cylinder, a 3F brand new cylinder head. I mean, you can't make that up. And it showed up, and my jaw hit the ground. I could not believe. Of course, the price that we paid for that was stupid, but the build that it's being used on is worth it. The current market value for the vehicle that it's going on is significantly higher, and the value of it is important.
Right.
So in my opinion, it's going to be based on the value that people put on these parts. So, I don't know. I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm really excited if one of my parts get chosen to be rebuilt.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
To revived. I was kind of thinking about that. It'd be really cool to see, a suggestion of mine or a suggestion of Kurt's or Cruiser Dan's being put out there for people to be able to enjoy and to be able to use in their projects. I don't see the Land Cruiser market diminishing. If anything, I see it continuing to barrel on exponentially, for good or for ill. And if Toyota can realize an ancillary revenue stream selling parts that haven't been available for a long time to a group of people who are willing to pay $90 for an oil filter, Toyota say, hell yeah, let's do it. I mean, if there are people willing to pay for it, that's an ancillary revenue stream market.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, it sounds like your suggestions for the 2F seemed like a no-brainer. Just the span of the year applicability for 40 and 60 series, it sounds like that is a high probability. Was there, I don't know if you talked to Kurt or Cruiser Dan, was there any overlap in your suggestions, or are they all pretty diverse?
Pretty diverse, yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, very diverse, actually. We were all over the spectrum on what we chose. I mean, we definitely had some overlap from the point of view of what we thought was important component system, like, or hey, you know, it was really important, like it was, you know, we thought it was important for there to be things for 2Fs for the dome piston stuff from before, or for the earlier F1/2 engines. Like we agreed on those types of things, but there was definitely no overlap in terms of the actual part numbers that we chose.
Okay.
For a reproduction. You know, like the 15600 41010, I doubt that they're actually going to reproduce something like that, because they already have an alternative that's a substitute that works just as well. It's the YZZ D3 or the TD004. So yeah, I mean, it's still a pipe dream. I want, you know, I want my oil filter to say made in Japan on it. That's actually really important for me. For whatever reason, it's a psychological thing, maybe a philosophical thing, and you know, that's important. So yeah, you know, that's kind of where my thoughts are on this program. You know, I do think a lot of it is marketing. Don't get me wrong. This is a great opportunity to piggyback on the 300 series release and the 70th anniversary of the Land Cruiser. A lot of this is marketing. Let's be realistic about what it is. Until it comes to fruition, I'm not holding my breath that this is going to be a big program. I'm not holding my breath that this is going to be something that is going to be for everyone. I don't even know if it's going to be in the United States. You know, we might be, you know, I might be staying up till midnight and calling, you know, Dave Stedman up in Japan and being like, hey, dude, I need that restoration, you know, the heritage part that came out, because we can't buy them here in the United States, you know.
Yeah.
Which would be disappointing, you know.
Right.
The 300 series isn't coming here, you know, and yada yada. So.
Yeah, but Toyota really, I feel like, has not had a very loving relationship with U.S. Land Cruiser in general. It seems like they kind of put us off to the side, and the rest of the world gets all the. So I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of in line with their paradigm already, which I find interesting. But
well, you have to realize, I mean, the United States market is a first world market. We are actually their biggest market. We are the first world market. I mean, I'm sorry, but we can do 90% of the off-road trails in the United States with a RAV4 or a Subaru. You don't need you don't need a Land Cruiser. You know, you don't need the capabilities of a Land Cruiser. Maybe you do for a small group of trails here and there and out west or whatnot. But, you know, if you want to get out and go overlanding and be expo as fuck, you know, you can do that in a Subaru. So yeah. I don't blame them from a product planning point of view to concentrate on vehicles that are made for this market and for the market research that they do with their, I mean, you have to realize that the Toyota market in the United States is 2.5 to 3 million people. You know, 10,000 people that own a Land Cruiser and want Land Cruiser parts or want the 300 series is just not a market. It's just not. Yeah. It's not a market. You know, it's just not a sustainable market. So that's my thoughts on that, I guess.
Okay. I guess I'll ask you just maybe one more question. I know you gotta go. You gotta get to that awesome cruiser in back of you there.
I have to get on this 1HZ. I think the owner of this truck is watching right now, and he's probably saying, "Get back to work."
I won't take up his time much more. Sorry. So I've seen a lot of people asking about, you know, of course, people that own like 70 series or especially the 80 series here in the U.S. There are already some parts being discontinued for the 80 series that, you know, seem critical. Is there any hope that, you know, I guess this is all speculative now, but any hope it could creep that way? Like some 80 series folks could get, you know, wiring harness or I don't know what.
Doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah. I doubt it. I don't think that it'll creep. I don't think it'll creep forward very much. I think that it'll maybe, you might see some stuff for a 55 or a 45. You have to think heritage.
Okay.
An 80 is still kind of just it's a product in the 1990s. You know, it's still kind of, it hasn't it's a classic, but it's not heritage yet. I think an 80 is classic, but it hasn't reached the level of heritage yet,
Okay.
where you see the DNA flow through to the other vehicles. You know, whereas a 40 series, a 55, and a 60, you see their DNA moving into other vehicles, and yeah, I think the 80 is probably way too. It's too much a part of our current memory for it to be a heritage. You know, like
Okay.
that's important to consider. The word heritage, I think, is the important word. So 40s, 45 LVs, 55. I think those vehicles will see maybe some things trickle in. Again, think of breadth of applicability. If a
Right.
part can be remanufactured and made and revived, and it can be put into and utilized across a number of different vehicle series, then yeah, I think it has way more ability for it to trickle forward than, let's say, trickle backward from a 40 series backward. So
Okay.
that's my thoughts on that. In 80 series, no, I doubt it. 100 series, definitely not. You know, 60 series, yeah, maybe it'd be cool if they were able to make a couple of things that were applicable to a 60 series, without a doubt. I mean, I think 60 series is now in that age of a heritage vehicle where its introduction is almost 40 years old. You know, 40 years old this year. So you know, I think that's a heritage vehicle now.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so that'll bode well for you, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Better
for
start
you.
saving the pennies.
Yeah, it'll be applicable for you know, you and Chase. So you and Dave, excuse me.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my thoughts there. So
All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for everyone watching. You know, it's really nice to talk to you, Onur, and get your take on this, and you know, a little bit of an inside track and a little bit more clarity on, you know, what we should realistically expect coming forward. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, think small.
Okay.
Small.
Remember that, everyone.
Yeah.
Driving, steering, braking.
Yeah, driving, steering, braking. Those are going to be the things that we need to concentrate on, really. It's going to be driving, steering, braking, concentrate on part numbers that are applicable across different vehicles, as well as different engines, different transmissions. And I think that that will push its possibility for being remanufactured or reintroduced as a heritage part much higher.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to see you, Chase. Take care.
Great to see you too. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.